Hey there, I've got a little story today to tell you about. It's actually about our oldest client and one of the clients that I most treasure the most. And that's because we were with them throughout their entire transition and from a kind of a lead based company over to a transactional e-commerce based business. And it's an incredible story. I wanted to share it with you today. Imagine this. Imagine being an organization that manages leads and the kind of revenue generation for over 160 companies and locations nationwide, and not having like a significant or a cohesive digital strategy. This is where they were just about 4 years ago when we first started working together, and today they're way beyond that. Think about when you do lead generation with just a form, about the lost opportunities, the headaches, and the manual side of things. Missed revenue, just the lack of follow up, and there were so many holes in their system when we started. It really was a big jump to get to where they're at today. So right now I'm going to talk to you about how we transformed this major US based specialty vehicle rental provider really through the use of email marketing, in particular Klaviyo. Okay, so where did things begin when we first started the engagement? Well, it became apparent when we started that the first problem they had was their website. It was an IIS, an Internet Information Services by Microsoft based website. It was running ASP.NET. But worse than that, the partner that was managing the website on behalf of this company was unresponsive, very defensive when things were asked of them, and frankly, just were really bad partners. And it's just something that makes me so angry in working with this company. So it became apparent that this was problem number one. Beyond that, the website was nothing more than, let's just say, a lead generation type website. A customer would go to it, and then the customer would type in a city or a zip code where they wanted to go to, and then just a listing would come down of all the locations, the distance those locations are from where you wanted to go, and then you would just click get a quote. It would ask you 1,000 questions, anything from your name to your insurance information, driver's license number, home address, all of it required, blah, 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 really, really poor. From a product and customer end user standpoint, really bad experience, not good at all, very, very, very poor, all the way down. And you can imagine in that kind of environment, when you're the experience you're expecting as a customer is you want to rent a vehicle. Again, this is a specialty vehicle. Pricing is not so obvious. You can't just go to alamo.com or Avis or Enterprise and do this. This has to go to a special site like this one. So pricing and availability are your two biggest concerns. And when you go to the site, you don't get that answer, not easily. The only way you can get the answer was by filling out a form and then waiting some amount of time for that form to go via email to that particular partner location, at the time 160, today like 210. And they may or may not get back a hold of you. They may get the email, they may not get the email. They might have had turnover and that email no longer works anymore and they didn't tell the main organization. 1,000 things can go wrong and 1,000 things can happen to make the experience really, really poor. And that was really what was happening all the time. And instead of this being a clever tool to help people in this specialized industry, it was really a bad one. So the goal is that's where we started from and what we had to make, bring it up to today's standards and make it really awesome. And it started with the website. How do we fix this? What's the solution? The solution it's pretty straightforward. We implemented a powerful email marketing strategy. That was the core. What's nice about Klaviyo is it's a data storage location. So beyond just sending out emails and doing all that, it's great to have data, great to have information, but a lot of times, like, how do you act on that data? How do you engage the data and then put it to work? Klaviyo does that, and it puts it in a way that is easy to get the data in and out if you need it for other purposes, but when you make it your central hub, like we did for them, it works out really, really great. So the three pillars we wanted to initiate for them, and my agency did all this, was automation, personalization, and then segmentation. So what does that mean? On the main solution, the automation side, we used Klaviyo to get all the data. So what does that mean? It means when someone comes to the site and does a search, that data is populated into Klaviyo for us to watch it and see what's going on. And you can think about a funnel for a rental. It's going to be, you start with a search. So what search terms are they looking for? What cities are they going towards? Perfect. Then we have a screen that populates that says, here's the top 4 results they got. We get that information as well into Klaviyo. And then when they go to the next phase and say, I want to go to that location, we know that. And then it goes to a couple pages to grab their information. It goes to a complete pricing page. And then right there, you can say, okay, I agree with that price. Let's move to the next stage, which is ultimately where you fill out your information and click submit. All of those steps we treat like the different phases of an e-commerce transaction, whether it is add to cart, abandoned cart, checkout page. All of those are mapped to a Klaviyo metric, so we're keeping track of it with pricing, with added to cart as a location, and having all that information in there in the normal kind of schema that Klaviyo is used to, which allows us to do things like automation. So if you abandon the site, we are inviting you to come back. If you go to the search and we know what you search for, we can say, hey, look back at these searches you did before and continue the process. When you go to the next phase and you add one to your cart or you start looking at the pricing, perfect. We're able to get in there now as well and boom, say you abandon your cart, come on back and pick up where you left off. Here are the dates in there. We saved it for you. Hurry, time is running out. Vehicles are in demand and it's time to make a move. And then of course, all the way through to the very end, when you complete the transaction, going back and telling you, hey, thanks a lot, and confirming it and providing that automation. And of course, with Klaviyo, you're not just stuck to email. You can do it also by SMS and even push notifications. Though we didn't go that far. There's no app for the company, but on the SMS side, we 100% now can send transactional SMS messages that allow for easy transactional information. What also Klaviyo does is a large amount of personalization. So I kind of glossed over it in the last example, but we can start getting behavioral data on people and start figuring out what are the most interesting places people are looking at. What are they searching for in real time? Are there trends on this? And we use Looker Studio to harvest that data and start giving us insights about what's going on. So now we're saying, okay, Orlando, which is one of the biggest locations for this company, is peaking, or maybe it's troughing. Why is that? And we can see that in real time as things happen and figure out what trends are happening, good or bad, and then kind of match that up against what we and the client think the trends should be doing versus what they actually are doing. For customers, we're able to do things like, if you did a search and we see that for you in like Dallas, Texas, no problem. We can then send you Dallas specific based correspondence right in the email around that time frame that you were looking for to help nurture and push that eventual rental through. So that makes it really, really, really powerful in the rental space to do this. And frankly, it's not something that even a lot of large top tier rental companies do today, but this company is able to do it now. And then finally, on the segmentation side, leveraging those insights across to suggest like popular destinations and all that. So a lot of times people open the emails to get ideas, to dream, to have that aspirational aspect of what's going on. And we're able to harvest our data and be able to provide real-time information on the entire system. What is everybody looking at as the top 3 or 4 destinations they're searching for over the last 90 days? What are the most popular vehicles people are choosing? What are the companies that people seem to review the best, the most? All of this data is in there, and we can look at it from a behavioral standpoint, like who is engaged recently, who's been engaged very, very recently, and has been looking at more pages than average. Obviously, what's happening on the entire system, but also recency, frequency, monetary value. Who are those people that often come back and are what we would call like high rollers or VIPs that we can engage and go after to kind of nurture and goose more and more rentals as it comes around. So in the metrics and the KPIs we pulled for this particular case study, it was the first quarter that we had full implementation of actually about 90% of the stack. Even today, into 2025, when I'm recording this video, we have now layered on SMS, and there's been some new features that have come out from Klaviyo that we've enabled as well with extended ID and some custom actions. But at the time, it was the full realization of the original project, going from an old website with quote-based and absolutely no customer insights, absolutely no personalization or segmentation or automation, all the way now to full implementation of the segmentation, automation, reservations, the whole, personalization, the whole nine. And so what we saw, and this is the results, and it's pretty amazing, we saw a 75% increase in the number of reservations and quotes from the previous year. So this is 2023 to 2024, a 75% increase, an absolutely massive increase. And this is even like typified even more because one of the meaningful changes in the site was that the old site would obscure the prices, so you couldn't see what the quote cost. And you can imagine the number one question people had was, what's the price of a reservation? And of course they expect that on all of those rental sites that you go to out there, but this site didn't provide it. We absolutely wanted to do that. So we ended up implementing pricing. So even though we had a 75% spike in total quotes and reservations in that third quarter, it was in spite of the fact that we were showing and answering that number one question people have, which is, what is the price of this rental? With our automations, we had a 260% growth with 69% of the holiday reservations directly from automated email. So what we're saying here is the total amount of transactions that were produced by email increased by 260% in the previous year's automations and emails, which were nascent, up to what we did in the quarter 4, which is just amazing. And then 69% of holiday reservations were somehow attributed to the emails and the nurturing we were doing. So that's really, really massive, obviously, on that entire stack and getting all that going. On top of that, there's other costs and efficiencies found, right? Operationally, this staff that's employed to do this, both at the parent company and all of the member locations, were all freed up, not dealing with people who just wanted to find out a price or availability, but also the people that are coming through the system are highly qualified, high intent, wanted to do something, so they're not wasting their time chasing clients down, which is a huge waste of time. Customer satisfaction. We were able to automate customer satisfaction using the emails and later SMS, but we were able to create personalized messaging, which really gives people the data and information they want on the time scale and the framework that they want into. And then scalability proven, consistent data-driven communication for what ended up being the full 210 locations was easily managed and effective. And with our reporting tools, both in Klaviyo, but primarily in Looker Studio, we're able to see real time what's happening in the business and make course corrections in real time, and then change the reporting if we need to, if it's not sufficient enough. Bottom line, what are the key takeaways? Well, email marketing drives significant revenue growth and customer retention through the automation. It also saved a ton of money for all of the partner organizations and the main organization, and just time wasted on answering basic questions that technology could have been used instead to answer those questions. The personal outreach is essential, especially for these multi-location businesses where every company has a different motto, a different way of speaking and all that. And this allowed us to do that at scale. And then in here too, effective use, data use, transform customer engagement and boost profits. The great part is we're able to see immediately that the average quote is increased by half a day, which doesn't seem like much. When you're doing hundreds or thousands of quotes a month, that half a day really adds up. And across the entire chain, that means there's a lot of extra revenue being made for everybody, just because people aren't getting frustrated and stopping with the process. Instead, they're going all the way through with it and having a great experience and seeing the pricing and knowing, I can increase the time I'm going to take a vacation or take a trip in this vehicle because I can see the information right there. Here's the bottom line. Do you want to replicate the success? Do you have an entertainment or travel business? Do you have a business that right now maybe is stuck in the lead generation phase and really wants to go to the next level? Or maybe your e-com business is just not where it needs to be. Win in e-commerce wants to help. I created Win for companies just like you. I was on your side of these videos. So if you'd like to take the next step, just go down to the notes below, click the link to our website, go ahead, fill out the form, and I'd love to have a chance to talk to you. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great day.